I mentioned before that I really love the VA loans. Why do I love the VA loans? It's because people that have actually gone out there, men and women who have served our country, they've done great things, and there's a loan program that's set up for them. And I love it. Now, I hear people talk about the fact that, well, the VA loan has no down payment requirement. And my comment is it actually has the biggest requirement because our veterans actually put it all on the line for us. All on the line for us. The rest of us, we just put some money on the line. Veterans, they put it all on the line. Well, our guest today, Sam Royer, came out, and he is a veteran, so it's easier for him to say these things than it is for me because he actually did it. But he came out and said, why is it that the police and fire don't get these same benefits or similar benefits? And like our men and women of the military, they don't just talk, they actually go and do things. So we're going to bring Sam Royer into the conversation and chat about this. Sam, you take it from there because you're really the one that's really done this stuff. Tell us about the Helpers Act, what you're trying to accomplish, and we'll get into what we can do for it too.
Thanks, Ron, for having me. So basically, Helper, right? Homes for every local protector, educator, and responder. It's actually an acronym. As military members, we always like knowing having acronyms because we forget stuff a lot. The whole Marine adage with pictures and crayons and stuff.
Now, wait a second. Wait, Sam, you got to slow down here. Now, I went and got certified as a veteran mortgage advisor. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that it's easier to remember what the whole concept than all the acronyms that you get as in the military.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what is it? Changes station. And I mean, there's 600 of them. I can't even remember all the acronyms. No, that's what they all stand for.
There's a lot, but ultimately we wanted to make it simple and honestly direct. I mean, Helper, these are the individuals that serve in our communities that a lot of times people forget about. And the fact is that, just recently, 2 weeks ago, was it? I was in Washington, D.C. at the police memorial doing the police unity tour. And, that Saturday night, they have the police memorial on the mall right in front of the Capitol. And when you're standing in the back with some of the bravest men and women you've ever met in your life, and they do after they announce all the names of those that have been, killed in the line of duty over the prior year, you see everybody raise a candle. I mean, that visual picture of all the men and women that gave their lives to protect us on our home front, it can't be more surreal than that. To know that what we're trying to do with the Helper Act is truly something that, needs to happen finally.
And I've heard some veterans that have come on the broadcast. I love having our veterans on the broadcast, but I've had some come on and they made a analogy when they're going and fighting, they kind of know who the enemy is and what the enemy's goal is. When you're a police officer, they go into a domestic violence situation. They don't necessarily know who the enemy is and what they're going to go up against. It's kind of blinded. So it's another battle. It's really I wouldn't want to say one's better or worse than the other. It's just that there's two different fights.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me, I served in the Marine Corps. I'm very proud to be a Marine veteran. The fact is, I never served in combat. I know we've had a 20-year war basically. So a lot of, more than, if you look at VA statistics, more than half VA loans now practically have a service-connected disability, right? So prior to that, though, if you look at the stats, most military members served in garrison. So they didn't even have that life or death type of situations. Many of my friends, and I wish you could see the wall in front of me. I know I have a big Marine flag behind me, but the wall in front of me, I have a lot of law enforcement officers. And these individuals, one that's looking at me every day, his name's Jay. And Jay's primary job is to go out and find people that kill other people. That's his job as a cop. And, his duty is to serve and protect and to be that person that is a peacemaker. But he's going to have some of the worst people in the world where he has to go into situations where he knocks on a door and he doesn't know if a gunshot's going to come through that door. And that's in his hometown. That's where he lives every day. So let's say that individual looks out of a window and sees Jay, and then Jay's in Walmart the next day with his wife and kids. He's not on call. He's not on duty, but he really is, because that individual could do so many bad things. And, even in today's society, as sad as it is, you're having teachers getting killed, in Texas, and, firefighters. Weirdly enough, the movie The Guardian, I'll never forget the scene where they talk about how, when the Navy is coming out when a hurricane hits, the Coast Guard's coming in, right? And that really put it in perspective. Well, firefighters, people jokingly call them hose jockeys and all this other stuff. But man, those men and women are running in when people are running out. Look at the World Trade Center. Those guys are running up staircases, and look what happened at the end of the day. So these men and women, since 1944, the VA has been around, and it's honored people. And it started out just honoring World War II veterans, actually. But here, the Helper Act, what we're hoping to do is get, a more affordable home product. So when these people buy their house, they ultimately have the same type of benefits that veterans have. And, you're going to have some negative Nellies that are going to say, oh, veterans need this, or military members need this. Go for a ride along. That's all I'll tell you. Go for a ride along and see what policing's like. Go stand in a room. I got so many stories, Ron. You can cut in whenever you want. But I had a legislator once ask me, they said, how are teachers heroes? And at the time, my kids were teenagers. And I said, put 30 puberty-ridden teenagers in a room and see how many people want to stand there every day. Now, throw a phone in their hand. Now throw the fact that parents aren't like they used to be back in the day where, if a teacher called my house, my mom and dad would look at me and say, what the hell did you do? Now it's opposite of that. Well, why are you bugging my kid? So, these individuals, they just really deserve it. So that's why I appreciate you having me on, Ron, because, the Helper Act's going to pass with people knocking on the doors and shaking hands, kissing babies with the senators, the congressmen, to get their heart behind this. So their vote, does come about to enact this bill.
We're going to talk more about this bill and how it actually helps our police and our fire and our educators. We're going to talk more about that with Sam Royer when we come back. Continue our conversation this morning. We're chatting with Sam Royer, Salute Home Loans. He is, I guess I say architect. You call it visionary for the Helper Act. I guess you can go both ways. And a veteran, a Marine veteran. So you got all kinds of titles behind your name, Sam. But I like the idea. Today we're talking about Sam the Visionary. So let's chat about this. We talked in the last segment about, the Helper Act helps police and fire and educators. What specifically are we trying to accomplish with this Helper Act, Sam?
So basically, this whole visionary thing, I don't know who gave me the title, but, I came up with this concept a couple years ago. And what it really was is when, just like you said, at mortgage banking, we sit in front of people every day, or we talk to people that serve. And when I was sitting there and I'm talking to a cop actually that had a vest on, had a sidearm, the whole 9 yards, and he's trying to qualify for a mortgage and he really didn't have the down payment and it was more expensive for him, it just really bothered me that I could buy a house more affordably than he could. So, a couple of years ago, I went on a journey to try and figure this all out. There's a very long story to it, but I'll give you the short version. Just basically, I started knocking on doors and asking, congressional leaders, or trying to get meetings with them to see if we could possibly get legislative change. That's how FHA was set up. That's how VA was set up. And it's one of those things that you got to start somewhere. So I was fortunate enough to run into a gentleman trying to get my marketing. He will forever be a friend that he said, hey, I know you're trying to change the country, and I know this congressman, and we're going clay shooting. You want to go? And I thought, man, clay shooting, I'm a Marine. I can hit any clay. But I hadn't picked up a shotgun in 20 years. Well, I happened to go shooting with Congressman John Rutherford of Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, who used to be the sheriff there. He actually served in law enforcement, I believe it was 42 years. So we went clay shooting, and I was embarrassed because I hit half. and this man missed one.
Wow.
And he kicked my other word we won't say. But at the end of it, I just asked him. I'm not a constituent in his district, and a lot of times they only really want to deal with constituents. Well, I said, sir, is there any way we could do a Zoom call next week? He said, sure, no problem. So I had a call with this man. I said, listen, sir, I said, it's tough for me that a lot of cops that you obviously work with can't buy a house as affordably as I can. And, kind of gave him the pitch. And probably 30 seconds later, he said, Sam, let me stop you. He said, 2 times I borrowed money from my parents in the 70s. He said, my first kid and my first house. He said, I get it. Let's go. And that was it. And Congressman Rutherford, to this day, the thing I respect about this man, when you walk around the Capitol, nobody calls him congressman. Now, some people would say that's kind of disrespectful. It's not, because you know what they call him? Hey, sheriff. Hey, sheriff. Hey, sheriff. Capitol Police, other congressional leaders, staffers. Hey, sheriff. Hey, sheriff. This man is known as the sheriff. And what I aspire about that is that is his true first love. Now, in Jacksonville, from my understanding, he's only served 2 terms as sheriff. His terms were up. He ran for Congress, and now he's Congressman Rutherford. So it's just an honor to know the man. He believes in service. He actually has another bill called Protect and Serve. And, ever since this would have been July of 2020, we've been fighting the battle.
Okay, so is this going to make it as easy is it going to have all of the guidelines of a VA loan built into this, where we can battle on the appraisal and get in with no money down and no mortgage insurance and all that? How's that working?
Yeah, so basically what we did was, there's a program called the Good Neighbor Next Door. Everybody can kind of Google it, look it up, which it has a great concept behind it. And the Good Neighbor Next Door categorize, law enforcement, firefighter, EMT, paramedic, and then teachers, right? They put teachers in there. A couple of years ago, I think it was prior to 2001, they kind of lumped them all together. So one question we get asked a lot, how did you come up with this group of people? Easy. In Congress, from our understanding, is that, and look, I'm not a political guy, but seems like I'm becoming one, but it's easier to get a bill passed when there's already legislation written. So we took exactly what those categories were. Now, I can tell you, my mom's an ER nurse. I would love to have nurses in there. I would love to have 911 operators in there, right? But at the end of the day, we have to start somewhere. Once this program then expands and we can show the proof that it's a viable, awesome opportunity for America, then possibly we can expand. But for right now, those 4 categories based off the Good Neighbor Next Door program, that's how we came up with the categories. What this will do, it will take kind of the best of VA and carbon copy it over into an FHA loan, because you can't go and give a VA loan to a non-veteran or military member. So under FHA or HUD, it'll be 100% financing, so no down payment required. It will not have a monthly mortgage insurance. So those 2 aspects alone go to the affordability factor. It gives, less money out of pocket and also a cheaper payment. So right now, if an FHA loan is here, the Helper Act is going to be a little bit cheaper. So it'll be down here, right? So it's a good thing. Now, the not downfall, but the way to compensate for the no monthly mortgage insurance, there is going to be a higher upfront mortgage insurance premium, which we do not know exactly what that's going to be yet. We actually started at 3.6 to carbon copy what the VA does for second use. But right now, for our understanding, the maximum so far, we believe it's going to be 3. But again, that's not definite. It's not done yet. But what it'll do, 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance. And at the end of the day, these individuals, all the other FHA requirements happen. The only caveat to that is this is only for a 1-unit property. So you can't go and buy a 2 or 3 or 4 unit property. And as long as you're a first-time home buyer, those things will then allow these individuals to buy a house just kind of like a VA loan. Now, again, the old bill, there was a bill that was introduced in the 117th Congress where we got.
Hang on a second, Sam. Let's save that because that'll take a little bit longer. And I already got the 1 minute from Josh. So, old bill, new bill, what's all that mean? Continue our conversation. We're talking to Sam Royer this morning, talking about the Helper Act. I don't know why I keep putting an S on the end of that, Sam, but the Helper Act. What's that?
A lot of people do. It's okay.
Okay. And when you realize that it's an acronym, then you say, okay, well, it makes sense. You can't put extra letters on the acronym. It doesn't work then.
Yeah.
So I understand a little bit. I mean, I'm not a politician, but we do get politicians come in here, and I do share my opinion on what the politicians are doing. But sometimes there's really, really good things that come from the grassroots. Probably more often than not, it's good things from grassroots. I actually happen to be a fan of the Texas way of doing legislation. Right, their legislature meets, I think, 170 days every other year, and then they make them go back to work. So California, they think they're doing work by putting a bill out there that's going to give us more homelessness or stop some of our great citizens from doing some of the things they have, like our friend Chris down there in San Diego, who's helped get people off the streets. But I digress. We're talking this morning. So now Sam is going to do something here today that unfortunately a lot of the schools don't do anymore. So talk about how a thought becomes a bill, how a bill becomes a law. And well, we don't know how it becomes a law yet because it hasn't happened. But what happens when they change Congresses? So talk about that a little bit, Sam. We started getting into that in the last segment.
Yeah, so I kind of learned this all from trial and error, I guess you could say. And luckily, George McElwee, he's the owner of Commonwealth Strategic Partners. We grew up together, actually, and I nipped his ear for years. And he was a chief of staff for a congressman and now owns his own lobbying firm. But he's really the other architect, if you want to call it, behind the bill. It's a matter of getting that one congressional or Senate leader that believes in something, like Congressman Rutherford did. Then that individual person has to get other people on board, which we got Bonnie Watson Coleman, a Democrat, John Katko, a Republican, and another Democrat, Al Lawson. So we had 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans that started the bill in the House, right? And
wait, you got Democrats and Republicans to agree on something. I think we're gonna have to put you on the bill on the tag for being a president or something, because they don't get them to agree.
Honestly, we had a lot of support. It was pretty much bicameral is a word that I learned. That means it's in the House and the Senate. But we actually, on the Senate side, we had Marco Rubio and John Ossoff, which is a Democrat and a Republican. And at the end of last Congress, we had 89 congressmen and women, and we had 17 U.S. senators that were on this bill. We had over 300 organizations, be it national, statewide, or local, to include mayors, all on this bill, supporting this legislation. The thing you will learn in Congress, and I'll never forget Senator Rubio saying this to me, he said, Sam, a lot of bills won't pass on their merits because of politics. And that's what kind of happened with us last Congress, is that you had some of the leaders that, we appreciate their service, but if their bill is not in the forefront, it doesn't go anywhere. We had a congressperson that was in leadership that literally had their own bill that only had 44, all Democratic, on their bill. And we had 89, which was like split 60-40. And ours didn't go anywhere, and theirs did. It's just how Washington works, I guess. But now, that was the 117th Congress. The 118th Congress, which we're in now, we were very fortunate because the chairman of Senate Banking, Sherrod Brown from Ohio, Democrat, he is now with Senator Rubio, now leading the charge on this bill. So we have the president of Senate Banking very much behind this bill because he believes in it. Now, what's so awesome about that, that means it's going to go through his committee. As you asked about what you don't learn in high school, every Congress and Senate have these little things called committees, and that's where supposedly more expert senators and congressional leaders are in these committees. So like you have armed services, you have appropriations, you have House Intelligence. Well, there's banking on the Senate.
That's an oxymoron there.
Yeah. You have banking on the Senate side, and you have financial services on the House side. So on the banking side, right now we have a whole bunch of leaders on the Democratic side that are on the bill. We have to get more Republicans on it so that it'll pass in the Senate. On the House side, we're struggling a little bit because right now, some of the leadership on financial services, they don't like government programs. Well, this is not really just a government program. FHA already exists. all we're doing is we're saying to FHA, hey, look, if you serve for 4 years, be it a police officer, a firefighter, an EMT, or a teacher, you have an opportunity to get a less expensive FHA loan. That's really what it is. We're not subsidizing. We're not taking anything away. We're just giving a benefit, just like the VA does for military members. And we're saying we're going to honor your service to our communities by helping you get into your home, the thing that you're protecting, be it from burglars, be it from fires. And then the children we raise in our home, we're sitting there saying, hey, we're gonna actually help you get in the house so you can raise your own kids instead of just raising others, right? And that's the first time I ever put that all together, and it sounds good. But what I'm saying is, so on the House side, we got a lot of work to do. But this new Congress, the bill was just reintroduced, 2-3 weeks ago? We already have over 44 leaders on board. On the Senate side, we have, I believe, 7 or 8. And it's the organizations, the national organizations, the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Sheriffs, the National Educators Association, the International Association of Firefighters, they're all on board. Now, realtor associations, we need you on board. This will help your realtors sell more houses. It will get people in more affordable. We need them to get on board. We need other leaders in this country to step up and say, hey, we are 100% behind it. Not we're kind of behind it. This is going to change America, where people that truly, look, ask a cop if they got in the industry to become a millionaire. Ask a teacher if they just want to try and make a big paycheck. Ask a firefighter if they really love coming home at night smelling like smoke. They don't, but they do it because they care about others first. And you know what? It's time our country puts them first. That's it.
So what do you, is there a direct organization that somebody can get more information at? Is it just grassroots? I know, is there bill numbers that you can tell us that we can call our congressperson with?
Yep. So the House bill is 3170 and the Senate bill is 1514. And we are putting together a website and other things right now. Now, there are some people right now, unfortunately, that are using this to try and be a lead generator. They're trying to suck business in, the mortgages and everything else. And listen, if you're one of those people, I get it. Everybody's trying to get business and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're trying to serve people. Don't use this as some stupid marketing ploy to try and get business. Right now, go out to your congressmen and senators. Go ask them why they haven't joined the bill if they haven't. Get the bill passed first. Get these people. Now I feel like the president, where he gets really angry at stuff.
No, you have to start whispering, Sam, if you're going to do that.
Get the bill passed first before you try and suck in business. Look, I had a congressman, and I'll kind of leave you with this. I had a congressman that thought I was doing this for financial gain, right? And I appreciate I'm on a radio show now. You know, I get some cool exposure, and that's all fun and good. But I can tell you, I moved to Arkansas, or I live in Arkansas. I have a house in Arkansas, because I want to get away from people to be in peace, right? I live 15 miles from the closest Walmart. The national exposure is fun and all, but I like sitting at home and just looking over the mountains, right? But at the end of the day, I didn't do this for financial gain, because guess what? If you go to a police conference right now, I might be the only mortgage guy there, right? So I'm getting all those leads. I get to meet all these people. When this bill passes, you're going to see every mortgage company at every police conference, because they're all going to be law enforcement experts, just like everybody's a veteran expert, right? So at the end of the day, guys, don't just do this for marketing. Go out, pick up a phone, talk to your clients, talk to your people that are cops, teachers, firefighters. Have them call their congressmen and senators and let them know, join the Helper Act, join HR 31770, join Senate Bill 1514. Put your vote behind it. Get the bill passed. Then by all means, go use it for marketing, right?
That's great information. And, you know, being that we're on ABC News and Talk here this morning, or this afternoon when the program airs later on the network, you know, go out, call your senator, call your congressperson, you know, get a hold of their offices, send them a message. I'm going to see if I can find those links where we can just go right and you can pick your person and put that in the show notes.
So, hey, real quick, Ron. So AIM is actually a mortgage organization or a group They actually do have a website we could probably pull from where you can literally put in your name, your zip code, and it will email your congressman and senator. So we're very thankful to AIM for having that site up. Actually, the NEA, I believe the FOP actually has one. So there are call to actions like that are out there. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question, but yeah, we should be able to get something out there. ABC, you know what? ABC, if you want to do an interview, look, George and I have a pretty cool story that we grew up together. I actually thought he was a nerdy kid. I was the goofy, try to be jock guy. He went in the Navy. I'm a Marine. This story is something that we would love to share because guess what? When this bill passes, there are going to be two guys that are 18 rows back, hair standing up, probably in the back. And we're going to be like, hey, look, there we are, right? Because there's going to be congressmen and senators. They're going to get all the credit for this, right?
That's the way it works. But let me just finish with this one comment: is take action.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about your community, and you're thinking about the firefighters that can't live in your community, if you're thinking about the police officer that can't afford your community, if you're thinking about the teacher that's teaching your kids and grandkids that can't afford the community, well, you have the opportunity now to actually make a difference and get them into your community by calling your senator, your representative. And if you need more information on this, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch with Sam, get you on some of these different websites, but take action. Don't complain if you're not willing to work, and make a phone call.